Hey, what's good, everybody? I'm Isaac Lee, and I'm back this time to review the 007 movie, No Time to Die. But before I get into that, just a quick little rant. I cannot stand these marathons. They on the main street, they block up everything, and it's not so much the marathon itself, but again, it's the location. If they could just do it someplace else, they do it on a main street, it blocks up everything for everybody. I almost didn't make it to the theater to watch it, but it's just a small little rant. Let's get into the movie. So anyway, this is the first James Bond movie I've ever seen, so with everything I'm gonna say, you really gotta take it with a grain of salt. I'm not familiar with all the movies that came before it, so I'm really watching this with fresh eyes. I'm trying to see what's really to it. Just out of curiosity, I want to see the movie. Apparently, this is the last movie that actor Daniel Craig is gonna do as 007's James Bond before they pass it over to another person, which they do address in this movie. And so I'm watching this, and I'm just out of curiosity. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on. So it starts off, and you definitely get some nice action scenes. Like, I understand that you get some great action scenes like throughout the movie. Only problem is, for me, I was just so bored with it. And I understand when I say that I'm gonna be in the minority, but I really was. And I understand that a lot of this movie, it has to do with referencing things in the past. They're gonna reference things from Quantum of Solace or Spectre and things like that. All these other characters from the past. I get that. It's just that for me personally, seeing this with new eyes, and there's just so much exposition, so much espionage. I'm like, in between all the action, I actually got bored. I mean, I'm sitting in the theater, and I mean, I got my head on my chin. I'm sitting like this. I'm sitting like this. I'm like, I was literally getting bored. I kept checking my phone every now and again just to see, like when is this thing gonna end? And like, I shouldn't be feeling like this for a James Bond movie, but for the parts it does deliver on, it definitely delivers. A funny note, I felt like this movie should have been only 10 minutes long, because there's a particular scene in the movie where James Bond, he's paying respects to some past character from another film, again, I'm not familiar with, but while he's doing that, a huge explosion goes off, and he's no more than maybe 5 feet away from it, blows on black, really? Yeah, alright, that'll be a whole nother movie right there. But it blows him back, and not only does he not die, his suit isn't messed up, his tie isn't out of place, nothing. He's just dirty, that's it. He's just dirty and shell-shocked, that's it. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's the kind of person we're dealing with. Someone who's basically indestructible. I'm like, okay. So, which is funny, and again, it's in the intro that we're putting in spoilers, so I'm saying everything. So it's funny how a huge explosion from 5 feet away doesn't kill him, but just regular bullets that can. I was like, okay. So it's like there's a little bit of consistency issue there. So you see him having this whole like relationship with some girl, and at the beginning she's all like, oh, I got some deep secret, but she seems all like secretive and she doesn't want to tell him what it is. So they keep building it up to make it seem like her secret has something to do with Spectre, but then 5 years later, after they broke up and they meet up again, you see that she has this little kid, and you're like, oh, so that was the secret. And I remember even when I was leaving the theater, I'm thinking to myself, you couldn't say that before? Like, what was the deal? I'm like, was the secret really that important that you couldn't tell me 5 years prior you were pregnant, which would explain why 5 years later you now have a kid? Like, why was that? They built it up to be such a bigger mystery, and it wasn't. So and again, they're getting into all this backstory and espionage, and another big reason this movie is going to get a lot of traction is because it's all about who's going to pick up that mantle next, and it's all about how the character's always been a white man and now it's going to be a black woman. And it's crazy how out of all the crazy stuff he does, out of all the crazy stuff that defies the laws of physics and just has no sense of like realism to it, the fact that they add in a black woman, now all of a sudden people want to add realism to it. Now all of a sudden people want to talk about how, oh, so she's gonna be a super spy fighter who's also fighting other super spy men, so how's this woman gonna take out grown men? Like, so that's the hill you're gonna die on? So that part doesn't make sense to you, but all the other stuff that James Bond has done that he should have died from a million times over, somehow you give that a pass, but this is the hill you've chosen to die on. Okay, so it's like, I already know a lot of people are gonna make a big fuss about that, but at the end of the day, it's like, it is what it is. I mean, I don't really have any invested interest to see where the story was going. I only saw this because it's just out of curiosity. I wanted to see, you know, what all the hubbub was about with James Bond. But even the actress that's taking on the new mantle of being 007, I mean, she seems cool. Don't know what they're gonna do next. I don't really care. I don't really know if I'm going to watch the next 007 movie, but I'm interested to see what they do next. But aside from that, then you got Rami Malek. Rami Malek, oh man, he's definitely a throwaway character. He is a throwaway character. I mean, because if you watch the trailer, you make it seem like he really has a bigger part to play in the movie. You don't see him to the third act. It's like you really don't see him to the third act, and then he's killed off, and it's like, yeah, you're really not that important. It's like they could have. And here's the thing about it: Rami Malek is a great actor, but you could have given this role to anybody. You could have given this was a throwaway role. No one's gonna remember this character, I don't think. But again, man, I was just so bored with it. I was like just tossing and turning in my seat, and I'm like, okay, it's like, what's next? It's like, but it's like, and again, even though I like the action scenes, they just took me out of it. It was like, I basically just spent money to be bored. It's like, I kind of regretted it. And like, and again, you have to take what I feel with a grain of salt. I'm sure I'm gonna be in the minority. Everyone's gonna love it. It's gonna make huge money in the box office, I'm sure. But yeah, this franchise just ended for me. But at the end of the day, hey, those are just my thoughts. But what are yours? And if you like or dislike what I had to bring to the table, hit that like and subscribe at the bottom. I'm Isaac Lee. This is The Rundown.